I was being like an ambassador of the gay community, and I was like, the connections, like, this whole campaign is modeled on having personal connections and personal conversations with other people. And so you have, like, it's amazing that, like, within, like, usually the conversations last, like, 15 minutes. Like, within 15 minutes, like, you learn about, like, their family life and their marriage and their kids and, like, what they think, like, their values and their religion and, like, their concerns about gay people and, like, their underlying fears that, gay people are pedophiles, and stuff like that. And it's just so fascinating because, that's like 15 minutes and you don't think you get to know someone, like, but people share so much. And it's just like such an exercise in being vulnerable and then having that return to you.
Emotions boil up, but I have the lid sealed tight. If I breathe the wrong way or think about the scary stuff, everything will explode. The pot's sides are stretching and straining. Maybe it's just high blood pressure. But everything is tighter, and the insides of the muscles of my neck are hard. I'm afraid if I stop and let myself think about what's going to happen in 30, 29, 28 days, I won't be able to start up again. To do the things that make this worthwhile, I have to be in control and keeping my cool. I have to be vulnerable. That's always stressed, but it seems clinical and far away. Everything is going so fast, and what I did an hour ago wasn't good enough, and what I'm doing now doesn't matter enough. And I can't do both. I can't be open and bare my soul while powering ahead and standing strong. The dialer is an exercise of trust, which lets you down 9 times out of 10. I share who I am and where I'm coming from, and these people just shit all over me. They drop me in the name of God, Jesus, or the protection of marriage. I fall and crack my head open on their hardness again and again and again. But I keep doing it. I'm a child, and it doesn't matter how many times they drop me, because I will keep going back. I don't keep calling consciously. It's a given that I will breathe and continue dialing. Sometimes afterwards, I wonder if I've just brainwashed myself into this, but all those hatefully ignorant people are just roadblocks on my way to a moved voter. That is what is worth it. But is that even worth it? As it's getting closer and closer to the election, I see the possibility of defeating this amendment get smaller and smaller. And I can't rely on the hope of defeating this. It brings me closer to why I'm actually doing this. I'm doing this because I believe in what we're doing on this campaign. This campaign is about personal, vulnerable interactions. And, idealistically or not, I think that having accepting dialogues is a feature of social change. I believe that the movements around the world that are going to be big change will use this technique. It is so inspiring to see it in action and be part of its beginning. There is so much I want to say to people. I just need more time. We only have 14 days left, and I won't be able to talk to enough voters. I need to explain the amendment to them, and move those who are voting yes, and find our supporters. I want to be able to spend an hour with each person who's willing to have a conversation with me. When someone tells me that they don't support gay marriage, that they support the protection of marriage, I want to know what they're thinking, and talk to them about our similarities and our differences. I want to be able to provide the support that a lot of people need to change their hearts and minds around gay marriage. If I just had the time, I would. But 14 days is not so much, and I need to make everything a snapshot. A little gasp of myself and a brush of who they are. I get to meet so many people, but I'm not allowed to form actual bonds. They're so small and rushed. It's like a civilized crisis. I learn very quickly who will have my back and who won't. My friends are always new and glancing. The people I know who aren't actively involved with the campaign are distant figures now. I feel guilty about not staying connected, but life is moving so fast. I don't have the energy to do everything. I was walking back to Kaufman Union from the Dinkytown office, and I was caught up in this moment of exhaustion. I'd been on my feet for hours, trailing after people, and the wind was blowing really intensely. My contacts were being dried out from the air, and so whenever I'd look in an odd direction, my eyes would catch on the lid. My hip fell out of alignment, and I could feel the blisters forming. I hadn't expected to drop into all of this. I thought, maybe I should just stop for the last 2 weeks. I seriously considered the benefits of the leisurely commute and the idle days at school. For about 2 seconds, it felt really good to just give in for a moment. I let a small bit of selfishness in, and it didn't kill me. It actually helped, and I shook it off, and proceeded briskly to another IPVR shift. There was a conference room across the hall from the CD ballroom. We were all so tired. I had been up for 20 hours. Nick and his cousin were sitting on my sides. We were listening to Richard give his 2 a.m. speech, telling us that it was too close to call and that we'd done great work and should be proud of everything we'd accomplished. Nick was doing his grumpy slump, arms crossed. We were pissy and wanted this to be over with. There was dispersed claps, and when Richard faded back in, he was telling me to go home and sleep. There's a huge incompleteness. Restless, intense listening, he trailed off. My head swiveled. Kate Brickman was standing with her phone held partially up, her face dumbfounded. Richard? She gestured, and something was said that I didn't catch. Then, like a party popper, the room went wild. Screaming to our feet, everyone was wired with an energy you can only get from a crowd of 100 souls who have surrendered their lives and love to a sole goal. What I felt is indescribable, instantaneous, shocked, awestruck. We were hugging each other and yelling. I wasn't emotional. Group hugs mashed my cheeks against hair while my hands gripped others' backs. Griffin vaulted the row of chairs that separated us and grabbed me and Nick. I felt weird that I wasn't crying. There was chanting, and soon we flooded out the doors, jubilation coursing through our veins. I don't remember who I hugged first. Melissa and my eyes met. We embraced tightly. She said something about love. I finally had tears. She was sobbing, and I was choking, and I realized all that I had been holding inside. Hopes, fears, stress, love, it had all paid off. That I didn't have to fight anymore. Surrounded by love and an energy strong and vibrant that was pouring out of my chest and flowing up, joined by others, into the ether. I was crying like I was sad, but I thought to smile and realized, it's over. We did it. We fucking did it. In every ear I hugged, gripping someone else, my brother or sister, filling myself up and connecting. This was victory. There was a Minnesota version of dancing in the streets. We made our way into the ballroom, the hot, crowded, triumphant room. We could have been running 100 miles per hour or jumping through treetops. Our love for each other exponentiated. Someone I don't remember called for all the staff to come on stage. I had wiped off most of the tears that kept recurring. We climbed the steps and swarmed the platform. Heavy, heavenly light radiated down onto us. As Richard started his victory speech, we were reaching out to the people around us, hugging and smiling. B. Christian Yer stood beside me. My people surrounded me. There was chanting and yelling, jumping, fists shaking, guts floating in space. Arms over each other's shoulders, Yer's face streaked with tears, hips bumping against legs, eyes intermittently fill and spill over. Smiles broadening our faces, stretching each time we remembered. I was almost directly behind Richard. His broad frame and fuzzy head was backlit. Cameras flashed, snapping to both sides. The crowd was mostly blinded out, but the faces and grins were ubiquitous. Yelling ourselves hoarse. We were the soldiers. I was a guerrilla warrior for love and justice. Following orders, but creating them as well. At the front lines. Now we were with our general and united. Under the banner of freedom, with an energy only young people have. We have hope and vitality. We have prevailed. We have won.